Day 11 of the Niners training camp just wrapped up. So with that being said, let's jump into the topic everyone's talking about, and that's the quarterback competition and specifically how each quarterback performed today. Starting out with the stats for each quarterback. Starting out with Brock Purdy, he took the majority of reps once again and went 9 of 16 passing, all with the first team offense. Trey Lance in comparison went 4 of 7, and Sam Darnold went 5 of 8 with an interception. Before jumping into each one of these quarterbacks' numbers, it's important to note that there was 2 drops for each quarterback besides Brandon Allen today. Furthermore, the Niners were in a situational period today where they were working on 3rd and long. The offense had the ability to go for it on 4th down, meaning they basically had 2 plays to pick up a long distance. I think this is an important point to note because it is a clarification that's important, since the defense does usually have an upper hand in these scenarios, but nonetheless, the offense frankly performed not up to standards today on the first team unit with Purdy at the helm. Let's talk about his performance today. Examining Purdy's day a little bit more deeply, it seems like he struggled during move the ball period, where he had 5 straight incompletions. In comparison to during the pre-scripted portion earlier in practice, he had 4 straight completions. There's also an argument going on that Purdy had a dropped interception today, so I'll let you guys decide based on what I could find out. Ward was tied up with Samuel on the play, and he did get a hand on the ball, but according to some, it looked like he could have came away with the interception, while others are saying it wasn't close to being an interception. Either way, it resulted in an incompletion, but let's talk about Purdy's performance a little bit more on the move the ball period. He wasn't able to pick up any first downs except on his 4th try with Brandon Ayuk bobbling the ball on 4th down. In comparison, Lance and Darnold had 3 series combined during this move the ball period, and they moved it on each one of their series. So with Brock Purdy's mediocre practice out of the way, let's move in to Trey Lance's practice, which was, I think, a little bit more encouraging. He went 4 of 7 with those 2 drops I mentioned, and during his move the ball period, he did move it on his attempts, more notably when he drew off a player on an offsides play and then checked it down to Jordan Mason. This would have resulted in a first down. Trey Lance also had a couple drops today, so if his receivers brought in those passes, he could have easily been at 85% completion percentage today, which is extremely encouraging, especially given the fact that he was in that 3rd and long situation. Trey Lance, in my opinion, had the strongest day of any of the Niners quarterbacks, and while it was short-lived because he only had 7 pass attempts, I think this is encouraging, and I do think Trey Lance will be QB2 come week 1. But those are just my thoughts, and I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. Let's talk about the other quarterback in that quarterback 2 competition, Sam Darnold. Darnold, who's been notably polished throughout training camp, throwing essentially a no interceptions, today reversed that trend a little bit, starting out throwing interception to Jair Brown. Brown made numerous plays on the ball during OTAs, but this was his first interception in training camp. This is especially encouraging for the Niners because once Deshaun Gibson leaves, it looks like they'll have a seamless transition into another young ball hawk. As I mentioned, Darnold also moved the ball effectively during the 3rd and long move the ball period. So with each one of these quarterback days wrapped up, who actually was the best performer today? In my opinion, it has to be Trey Lance, as he had those couple drops and had the highest completion percentage. Additionally, he moved the ball on those 3rd and long move the ball periods where Purdy struggled. Moving on to the number 2 performing quarterback, I would have to say Brock Purdy. He was going against the number 1 defense and didn't throw an interception today, even though it isn't arguable if he threw a dropped interception. Moving on to the 3rd quarterback, I would place Sam Darnold here, as he did have that interception early on in practice. So with my opinion out of the way, I want to hear your thoughts down below. Which quarterback are you most excited to see this preseason game against the Raiders, and what are you thinking about training camp so far? It would also mean a ton to me if you liked and subscribed. And as always, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.